Okay, so last lecture we have finished some part related with the sixth chapter. Okay, some algorithms we have seen, which was the leaky bucket and token bucket algorithm. Before that, we have seen this what is mean by the congestion, which are the congestion techniques and all. So these are related with the algorithms, whatever we have seen so far. So now only one point from this chapter is remaining, that is with the IP addresses. All of we are well aware about this IP address. Means what is mean by the IP address, we know it very well. But how these IP addresses are formed, in which categories these addresses come, and to which website or to which person, how it is given. So for that, we need to see some of the part related with the IP address. So we will see this within 15 to 20 minutes so that we will cover this chapter in detail. Okay. So first, what is mean by the IP address? So IP address, it stands for Internet Protocol Address, which is an address of your network hardware. Means whatever devices we are using for accessing that particular network. So for that, one unique address is assigned, and that we call it as a IP address, which helps in connecting your computer or any device to other devices on your network and all over the world. Means with the help of these IP addresses, we get one unique ID, and with that ID, we can connect with the network. So that is nothing but the IP address. Okay. IP address is made up of numbers or the characters, means 192 point something 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 like this. IP addresses are written. All devices which are connected to the internet connection. One second, some students are waiting. Okay. All devices are connected to an internet connection which have a unique IP address, which means there is no need of billions of the IP addresses. Means one unique ID is assigned to the device, and with that ID we can connect to the internet. And this requirement is fulfilled by IP version, or which is called as a IPv6. Okay, means all these IP addresses means whatever means number of IP addresses are there to which are used to connect number of devices. Okay, and these IP addresses are formed, or this comes under this IPv6. Earlier there was one more version is present, which is called as the IPv4, but now IPv6 is mostly used. So this IPv4, which is the older version, which has a space of over 4 billion IP addresses, means which can store or which can assign over 4 billion IP addresses. Okay, so that was the limitation for the IPv4 version. Okay, but however, new IPv6 version can provide up to trillions of the IP addresses to fulfill the need of all internet users and the devices. Means what now whatever IP addresses are assigned, so that comes under the IPv6 version. Okay, enter IPv6 version. IPv4 has the limitation that it can store or it can assign only 4 billion, means limitation of the 4 billion IP addresses. But as the use of the internet is too high, the next version comes which has a capacity to provide trillions of the IP addresses. Okay, and we can connect to the internet. So IPv4 and IPv6, these are the version through which your IP addresses are assigned. Now there are certain types of the IP addresses as like private IP address, public IP address, static and dynamic IP addresses. Okay, so private IP address, it is the address of your device connected on the home or the business network. Means if you are using, for example, I'm using modem, right? So to that modem, I'm connecting some of my devices, for example, mobile, laptop, some TV and all. So in that case, some address is assigned to me, which is used, I can use, or it is used for my personal use. So that is called as a private IP address. Okay, if you have a few different devices connected to one ISP, that is internet service provider, then all your devices will have a unique IP address, unique private IP address. Means if I'm using modem, and to that modem, if I have connected number of devices, then all that number of devices will have only one unique IP address, and that will be the private IP address. It will not be the case that mobile will be accessed from different IP address, laptop will be accessed from different IP address. No, there will be only one unique IP address, and to that unique IP address, this number of devices are connected because it is an private, or it is used for private use. Okay, so that's why there will be only one unique private IP address. This IP address cannot be accessed from the devices outside your home and the network business. So it will have, in short, it will have a length issue, or it will have a minimum area through which we can access this particular internet service. For example, some IP address we know. Private IP addresses are not unique because there are limited number of devices on your network. Okay. Now, if you want to know what is your ID, means what is your laptop IP address, then this command is used, ipconfig. So how this is used? So you have to just go to the command prompt. So if you go to the start button, there you just type cmd. It will open one command prompt. If you are using the Windows, okay, it will open one command prompt, and on that command prompt, if you just put this command as a ipconfig, okay, and press enter, so you will get one id, and that is the ip address of your system. Is through that IP address you are using the internet. Okay, this is related with the Windows, and if you are using other OS, for example Mac OS, then you can use the ifconfig command. Okay, so ipconfig is the command through which we can know through which IP address we are accessing the internet, your own IP address. Okay, so this is the command. The next comes is the public IP address. Okay, public IP address is the main IP address to which your home or the business network is connected. Okay, means if we are using the modem, okay, for that one address is assigned, so that is our private. But to access the internet, we are using one more IP addresses, that is nothing your public IP address. This IP address connects you to the world, and it's unique for all users. Okay, for example, if I ping to the google.com, okay, so it will use some address to reach to that particular Google server, and that is unique. Okay, and it is called as a public IP address. To find out your public IP address, this is the way how you can find the public IP address. You can simply go to the support all site in your browser, and it will display your public IP. So if you go to this site, then you will know, you will come to know the public your public IP address. So this is the second type of the IP address, and next one is the static and the dynamic IP addresses. Okay, so all private and public addresses can be either static or the dynamic. Static means fixed, and dynamic means it can be changed. Okay, so IP addresses that you configure manually and fix them to the network of your device are called as a static IP address. So I don't know whether you have tried this or not. So there is one option when you connect to the internet. For example, if I want to connect through my laptop to some Wi-Fi, okay, or through cable connection, I want to connect to the internet. So if suppose the internet speed is too low, or it is not giving me the proper result, so I can change that IP address. So how? So we have an option of computer network in our system. Okay, so just right click on that, and if you go to the properties connection, so in that properties connection we can change the IP address. Okay, so manually it also it also uh, get the IP address manually also. Otherwise we can give the proper IP address also. We have one experiment where we are connecting the two devices. Okay, in that we can use this IP address concept. Okay, so with this help, we can connect the IP address of the other machine manually. We can put that IP address particularly, and you will directly go, or you will have an access of that machine, right? So whatever IP addresses are there, so if they are, or they, it may be possible that they are fixed, or we can change it, and depending upon that, static and dynamic IP addresses are there. Static IP addresses cannot change automatically, so the dynamic IP addresses configures automatically assign an IP to your network when you set up the router with the internet. Means dynamic IP addresses are there which takes an automatically to connects to the internet. This distribution of the IP addresses is managed by DHCP protocol, which is called as the dynamic host configuration protocol. So this is used for dynamic IP addresses. DHCP can be your internet router that assigns an IP address to your network in your home or the business environment. So it is one type of protocol which is used for the dynamic IP addresses. Now, this is the most important part actually. Whatever we have seen, these are just related with what is IP and what are the types of the IP. Now, classful and classless. These are the two main types of the IP address, or we can say that IP addresses comes under these two categories, either classful or classless IP addresses. Okay. Now, first we will see what is mean by the classful IP address. Classful IP address is an address that which having information about how to reach a specific host, especially outside the land, means how to connect the internet. That is nothing but the IP address. It is of 32-bit unique address, having an address space of 232. Okay, it is, what is the length of the IP address? It is of 32-bit. Generally, there are two notations in which IP address is written, two ways of writing the IP address. Okay, first one is dotted decimal notation, and second one is the hexadecimal notation. Okay, let's see what is this dotted decimal. So this is the way how the IP addresses are written in a dotted decimal notation. So this is 1000000. Okay, so it represents 128. How you know it, or should I repeat? So what are the representations of this? Can anybody tell how this number comes 128? What are the positions are there? So it is 1, 2, second is 2, then 4, then 8, and so on. Okay, so how this 11 comes? So wherever 1 is available, we just add this. Okay, so 8 plus 2 plus 1, it is 11. So likewise, IP addresses are represented, and this is called as an decimal notation. And second notation or second way of representation of IP address is the hexadecimal notation. Okay, and this is the way how these IP addresses are represented, mostly in the IPv6 version. Okay, these are represented, IP addresses are represented in a hexadecimal notation. ओके, IPv6 मधून जर IP ऍड्रेस असाइन झालेला असेल तर तो मोस्टली ह्या फॉर्मॅटमध्ये रिप्रेझेंट केलेला असतो. रिमेंबर, so IPv6 IP addresses are represented, or mostly this comes under a hexadecimal notation. Please remember. Now, these are the 5 classes of the IP addresses in a classful addressing. Okay, क्लासफुल ऍड्रेसिंग मध्ये हे 5 क्लासेस असतात आणि ह्या क्लास मध्ये आयपी ऍड्रेसेस डिवाइड केलेला असतो. Okay, let's see what are these 5 classes. So IP address, it is of 32-bit address which is divided into 5 subclasses: class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. Okay, each class is having specific meaning. Okay, and to which device or to which organization IP address should be assigned, so that is depending upon this di- uh, dividation or these classes. कोणत्या ऑर्गनायझेशनला कोणत्या क्लासमधला आयपी ऍड्रेस असाइन करायचा हे ऑलरेडी डिसाइडेड असतं. ओके, सो दीज आर द 5 classes A, B, C, D and E. Remember, each of these classes has a valid range of the IP addresses. Means class A will have some IP addresses from, for example, 1 to, for example, 127. Up to this only it will carry. Okay, so every class is having some valid range of the IP addresses, and within that only, or with the help of this range, we can understood from which class the IP address is assigned. Okay, suppose my address is suppose 68 point something is the IP address. So obviously it will come from a class A, because the range is what, from 1 to 127. As an example we are taking, actually ranges are, which are the ranges I will tell you. Okay, but suppose my IP address is suppose 130 point something. So obviously it will not from class A, maybe it will be from class B. Okay, so depending upon this range, or by using this range, we can easily recognize from which class the particular IP address is assigned. Okay, out of these 5 classes A, B, C, D and E, out of these 5 classes, class D and class E are reserved for multicast and experimental purposes only. Means class D and E, these are not, or the IP addresses from the class D and E are not assigned for the normal use. Okay, so mostly whatever IP addresses we will get, so that will come from these 3 classes only. Okay, for example, research centers are there, for example, uh, what is that, ISRO and all. So their IP addresses are more secure, or they need IP addresses which are more secure, so they will come from class D or class E. Okay, so we can say that class D and E, these are the reserved classes, or the IP addresses from D and E are not assigned for normal use. So the use, whatever IP addresses we will get, so that will be from A, B and C. Okay, so the order of the bits in the first octet determine the classes of the IP addresses. What are these order? I'll tell you. I will show you. I'm going to show you. Generally, this 32-bit IP address is divided into these two parts. प्रत्येक क्लास मधला जो आयपी ऍड्रेस आहे तो ह्या 2 पार्ट्स मध्ये डिवाइड झालेला असतो. फर्स्ट इज नेटवर्क आयडी अँड सेकंड वन इज द होस्ट आयडी. Okay, so these are the 2 parts, for means every 32-bit IP address is divided into these 2 parts like this. You can see here. Okay, so class A is having some network ID, some host ID. Class B is having network ID, host ID. Class C, net ID, host ID. Only class D and E, so we have already seen. So these are used for special purpose. So these are not divided at all. Okay, I think host ID is not there. So whole space or whole bits are assigned for the network ID only. Okay, so these 3 are the divisions. Now let's see exact what is the class A IP address. So class A IP addresses belonging to class A are assigned to the network that contain large number of the host, because in class A IP addresses 24 bits are given for the host address and 7 bits are given for the network address. Means this is the dividation. Out of these, 7 bits are given for the network ID and next 24 bits are given for the host ID. So it is said that contains a large number of the hosts in class A. The highest order bit of the first octet of in class A is always set to 0, means this one. Okay, so first bit or the highest bit in class A, it is always set to 0 in class A. Remember, these will come for the MCQ questions because every class is having specific features or specific type. So it will definitely come for an MCQ question. So you just remember it. Class A is, or the first bit of the class A is 0. Remaining 7 bits are reserved for the network ID and 24 bits are assigned for a host ID. Okay, the network ID is 8 bits long, means this 7 and this 1. So it is 8-bit long, out of which first one is the 0, and the host ID is 24 bits long. The IP address belonging to class A ranges from 1.0, whatever range is there, up to 126. So remember, the range of the IP address for the class A is from 1 to 126. This will require, because if you go through the previous year question papers, they are giving one address, IP address, and you have to recognize under which class it comes. Okay, so as I already told, suppose my IP address or the IP address is starting from 123, so it will be from class A, that you have to recognize. एक IP address दिलेला असतो आणि तुम्हाला त्याचा class find out करायचा असतो. Okay, so that is the question for the MCQ. Next question, next class is the class B. Okay, next class is the class B. IP addresses belonging to the class B are assigned to the networks that ranges from medium size to the large sized networks. Okay, so this is the format for the class B. The higher order bits of the first octet of the IP address of the class B are 1 0. So remember, class A चा first bit or the highest bit कोणता होता? 0 होता. For the class B, the highest bit is 1 0. Okay, the network ID is 16 bits long and the host ID is 16 bits long. Sorry, it is 14 bits. It is 14 bits and host ID is 16 bits. No, it is 16 bits. Sorry, it is 16 bit. Out of these, two are there for this 1 and 0, and remaining 14 bits. Yeah, it is 14 bits and these two. So it is totally 16 bits are assigned to the network ID and 16 bits are assigned to the host ID. And the range of the IP addresses in class B are 128.0.0 whatever up to 191. So the class B range is 128 to 191. So that is the range for the class B. Next is the class C IP address. So IP addresses belonging to the class C are assigned to small sized networks. Small size network ला class C assign केलेला असतो. The higher order bits of the first octet IP addresses of class C are always set to 110. Okay, class A चा only 0 होता, class B 10, class C it is 110. Remember, it is easy to remember. Class A it is 0, class B it is 10, and class C 110. Okay, out of these 24 bits are assigned to the network ID and 8 bits are assigned to the host ID, and the range for the IP address from the class C is from 192 to 223. This is the range from the class C. So you maybe understood uses of the classes. So IP addresses class A चे आहेत, हां, त्याचे ते कधी यूज होतात? व्हेन देअर आर लार्ज नंबर ऑफ होस्ट आर अवेलेबल, त्यावेळेस हे आयपी ॲड्रेस असाइन केले जातात. क्लास बी कधी होतो? ज्यावेळेस मीडियम साईज टू लार्ज साईज नेटवर्क असेल, त्यावेळेस क्लास बी असाइन होतो. आणि क्लास सी कधी असाइन होतो? तर स्मॉल साईज जर नेटवर्क असेल तर क्लास सी असाइन होतो. Okay, so the uses of the classes according to the conditions of the network, the IP addresses are assigned to the to access the network. Okay, next is the class D. IP addresses belonging to the class D are reserved for the multicasting. So these higher bits of this class D are 1110. Okay, these are always set to 1110. There is sorry, class D does not process any subnet mask, does not have any subnet mask, so it will have a 28-bit host address only. Okay, so class D will have a 28-bit host address only, and remaining these four are the highest bits, which are always 1111 and 0. The range of the IP address from the class D are 224 to 239. These are the ranges of the class D. So the class D will be 224 to 239. This is the range for the class D. And class E, so the IP addresses from the belonging to the class E are reserved for the experimental and the research purposes. IP addresses of the class E ranges from 240 to 255. This is the range. So we can have from 240 to 255. So this will be the range for the class E. And the highest order bits in the first octet from the class E are 1111. These are the ranges. Okay, so class A 0, class B 10, class C 110, class D 1110, and class E 4 times 0. These are the first higher order octets for every class. It is very easy to remember. Please don't forget. Okay, so these are the 5 types of the classes, okay, under which we are categorizing the IP addresses. Is there any doubt? Yes, any doubt? Any doubt? Have you understood this classification? Yes, understood this classification? Okay. Okay, so A, B, C, D, and E. Remember these classes. Now there are some problems with the class-based IP addresses or the classful IP addresses, because of which the next classification comes, that is classless IP addresses. What are the uh, what are the problems of the class full IP addresses? They have given over here. So I'll just tell you one example through which you will get understood what will be the problem for this class full IP addresses. Okay. Now, suppose there are one organization is there which require suppose 254 host, okay, or more than 254 host, and therefore more than 254 host लागणार आहेत एका ऑर्गनायझेशनला नेटवर्क कनेक्ट करायसाठी. नाव सपोज क्लास सी इज हॅव्हिंग द कॅपॅसिटी ऑफ मॅक्सिमम 254. Now suppose organization needs, for example, 2 60 host. ओके, ऑर्गनायझेशनला किती रिक्वायर्ड आहे तर 260 होस्टची रिक्वायरमेंट आहे. सो क्लास सी विच इज युज्ड फॉर मिनिमम रिक्वायरमेंट and the highest maximum host capacity is 254 only. An organization required 264 60. So obviously it will not the address will not assign from the class C, so it will go to the class B only. Okay, the capacity of the class B is 65,535, out of which only 260 require. What about the remaining? Right, so this remaining IP addresses will be or unnecessary, that will be wasted. Okay, so this is the problem of dividing the IP addresses within the classes. Obviously ना, जर एक लिमिट जर तुम्ही ठेवलं एखाद्या याला, तर त्या लिमिटच्या बाहेर गेले की तो दुसऱ्या क्लासमध्ये जाणार. ओके, सो 260 ची रिक्वायरमेंट असेल तर ऑब्विसली क्लास सी मध्ये नाही जाणार, क्लास बी मध्ये जाईल. आणि क्लास बी ची मॅक्सिमम कॅपॅसिटी किती आहे 65,000 ची. सो आउट ऑफ 65,000 ओनली 260 यूज होतील. राईट, बाकीचे आयपी ऍड्रेसेसचं काय? ओके, सो इट विल हॅव अ वेस्ट, and that is the reason the next classification comes, which is a classless IP addresses, which is also called as a CIDR. Okay, classless IP addresses or CIDR. So CIDR stands for classless inter-domain routing. Classless inter-domain routing, which is an IP addressing scheme that improves the allocation of the IP addresses, or we can say which overcomes the problems of the classification of the IP addresses in a classful IP addressing system. It replaces the old system based on the class A, B, C, D, E, whatever it is. This scheme also helped greatly extended the line of IPv4 as well as slow the growth of routing tables. Okay, how I will tell you. Okay, the fast growth of internet led to the near depletion of available addresses, means lots of IP addresses are assigned daily. So we have a run out of a class A and B addresses, and a class C block is too small for the most of the mid-size organization. So as I already told the example of 260 hosts. So that is the problem related with the most of the small sized ऑर्गनायझेशन. सो ए आणि बी चे लिमिट्स खूप सारे आहेत, म्हणजे जास्त कॅपॅसिटी आहे, आणि सी ची खूपच कमी आहे. त्याच्यामुळे काय होत होतं, सी च्या बाहेर पडलं की ए आणि बी मध्ये गेलं की वेस्ट ऑफ द आयपी ऍड्रेसेस. To overcome the problem of the IP address depletion and give more organization access to the internet, classless addressing was designed and implemented under classless IP addresses. In this scheme, there is no classes. Means dividation is not there. A, B, C, D, E. No. But the addresses are still granted in the blocks. Means blocks मध्येच दिले जातात. 192 point this. फक्त रेंज डिफाईन नाही केलेली, as like in a classful IP addresses. In classless addressing, when an entity, small or large, whatever it is, needs to be connected to the internet, it is granted a block or range of the addresses. Okay, means bulk मध्ये addresses त्याला assign केले जातात. The size of the block varies based on the nature and size of the entry. Means 260 ची requirement असेल, so that much IP addresses will be allocated to that organization, not more than that. It depends upon the requirement of the party. For example, a household may give only 2 addresses. A large organization may be given thousands of addresses. Means general use, suppose only 2 addresses are required, so only 2 will be given. And if the organization is 2, suppose it requires 100, so it will give a hundreds of the organization, hundreds of the IP addresses. An internet service provided may be given thousands and thousands of the, based on the number of the customers it may serve. So same as the example which we have discussed. To simplify the handling of the addresses, internet authorities impose 3 restrictions on the classless address blocks. Okay, now I'll tell you how these addresses are actually assigned instead of going all these uh, part which is not actually required. So this IP address under classless IP address is divided into some parts which are called as the prefix and suffix. Okay, so prefix is nothing but like you would see the normal IP address, this one, 192 point this, and suffix means this one, /12. Okay, /12. So this is my normal IP address, 192.255.250.255, and /12, it comes under a class list. Okay, now what is the meaning of this? This part is called as a prefix, and this is what, suffix. So for this we can say that the first 12 bits are the network part of the addresses, while the last 20 bits are for the host addresses. Okay, so meaning of this 12 is what, out of these IP addresses, the first 12 bits are used for the network part only, or the network address, and remaining 20 bits means out of 32, 12 bits are used for the network address, and 20 bits are used for the host address. Suppose here instead of 12 it is of 16. So what is the meaning of it? 16 bits are used for the network address, and remaining bits will be used for the host address. Simple. So instead of having the classes for the IP addresses, simple IP addresses are used, and to that IP addresses just how much host or how much network part will be added, that is only given in the class list. ठीक है? Have you understood this? What is mean by the CIDR or the classless IP addresses? Simple आहे. फक्त क्लासफुल IP addresses चा प्रॉब्लेम काय आहे की रेंज फिक्स असल्यामुळं जर सपोज त्याच्या रेंजच्या बाहेर गेला तर क्लास बदलत होता, आणि त्याच्यामुळं काय होत होतं की IP addresses हे होत होतं, वेस्ट होत होते. सो ते तो प्रॉब्लेम ओव्हरकम करायसाठी क्लासलेस आलं, आणि याच्यामध्ये ABCDE असे क्लासेस नाही आहेत, फक्त नॉर्मल IP ऍड्रेस मधलाच किती पार्ट नेटवर्कला द्यायचा आणि किती पार्ट होस्टला द्यायचा, दॅट इज डिसाइडेड. ओनली दॅट इज द डिफरन्स. ठीक आहे, समजलं? क्लासफुल अँड क्लासलेस IP ऍड्रेसेस. Yes, any doubt? I think there is no doubt. I'll forward this PPT so you will get an idea about what is this classful and classless IP addresses. It is very easy. ठीक आहे, remember फक्त diagrams लक्षात ठेवा through which you can easily understood the classification. Okay. So we will stop here because we have finished our 6th chapter here. In next lecture, or from the next lecture, we are going to start the revision part. Okay, because the syllabus is over now. So from the next lecture, we will start the revision. So those who have missed the lecture, they can attend easily. Don't write the roll number. I am going to take the present only.